There's a moment, probably several times a day, where your dog is trying to tell you something. Not with a bark, not with jumping or whining or pulling at the leash. Something quieter than that. A shift in posture. A glance that lasts half a second too long. A tail that moves in a way that looks the same as always, but isn't. Your dog has been speaking to you since the day you met. The hard truth is that for most of that time, you've been missing most of it. Not because you're not paying attention, not because you don't care, but because no one ever taught you the language. And the language, it turns out, is nothing like the one you already know. Here's what changes everything. Your dog already understands you. Far better than you realize. Far better, in some ways, than the people around you do. This video is about finally returning the favor. Dogs and humans have been living together for tens of thousands of years, side by side, in homes, in fields, in every corner of the world. And in all that time, dogs did something remarkable. They didn't just adapt to living with us, they evolved to read us. Their brains developed specific abilities to track human faces, follow human gestures, decode human emotional states. These are abilities that wolves don't have. That chimpanzees, our closest relatives, don't have. Abilities that exist, as far as we know, in dogs and dogs alone. Your dog has spent their entire life studying you, learning your patterns, memorizing what your body does before you speak, before you act, before you even know yourself what's coming. They know when you're about to leave before you pick up your keys. They know when you're sad before you've said a word. They know when something in the house is off in the way, air changes before weather does. And yet most of us are still guessing what the tail wag means. That asymmetry, that gap between how well they read us and how little we read them, is exactly what we're going to close right now. Let's start with the part that surprises everyone, the tail. You already know that a wagging tail means a dog is happy. Except it doesn't. Not exactly. A wagging tail means a dog is emotionally activated. The direction tells you everything else. When a dog's tail wags more to the right, they're experiencing something positive, something they're drawn toward. You, a favorite person, a smell they love. When it wags more to the left, that same tail, that same motion, they're experiencing something that puts them on alert. Something uncertain, something they need to think about. Most people never notice this. Their dog has been signaling the difference for years. Now you'll see it. The eyes. When your dog looks at you, really looks at you. A soft, unhurried gaze that lingers a few seconds. Something happens in both of you. A hormone releases. In your dog, it surges. In you, it surges even more. It's the same chemical that bonds a mother to her newborn. The same one that makes you feel safe with the people you love most. Your dog's gaze doesn't just show you affection. It biochemically creates it. Every time they look at you that way, they are literally deepening the bond between you, with their eyes. On purpose. Wolves don't do this. The wolves who became dogs left that behind and built something new, a direct line to the human nervous system, written in chemistry. When your dog holds your gaze on a quiet evening, that's not a coincidence. That's thousands of years of evolution, asking you to look back, the whole body reading it as one. Here's where most people make the mistake. They see one signal and read it alone. Tail up, ears forward, and they conclude, happy, alert, ready to play. But dogs never send one signal. They send several, simultaneously. And the meaning lives in the combination, not the individual part. A tail held high and stiff, paired with a still body and hard eyes, means something completely different from a tail held high and loose, with a relaxed mouth and a body that moves fluidly. One is play, one is a warning. Same tail height, completely different conversation. The way to learn this isn't to memorize a list. It's to practice watching the whole dog. The mouth, the ears, the body weight, the eyes all at once, the way you'd read a face. You don't read one feature of a person's face to know how they're feeling. You read all of it together, in a fraction of a second, without thinking about it. You can learn to do the same with your dog. It just takes the decision to actually look. The sounds. Most owners know the difference between a play bark and a fear bark. But there's a whole range in between that gets missed. A low, soft grunt when they're settling down. A single, short bark, directed at nothing, actually directed at you, at the change in your energy they sensed before you moved. A whine that isn't distress but is something closer to, trying to reach you, to close a distance they feel but you haven't noticed yet. Dogs vocalize for specific reasons. The problem is that when we don't understand the reason, we either ignore it or we try to stop it. And a dog whose communication gets repeatedly ignored learns to stop offering it. The sounds they make when something is wrong get quieter over time. In dogs who have learned that no one is listening, what they do just before they need something, this one is subtle. And it's one of the most useful things to learn. Before your dog reaches the point of barking, scratching, pacing, there's usually a sequence of smaller signals that came first. A glance at you, then at the door, a shift in weight, a certain quality of stillness that isn't relaxed, it's held. These are the requests, sent early, while the situation is still comfortable. Most owners miss them and only respond when the dog escalates, which teaches the dog that escalation is what works. Watch for the quiet ask. It's usually there, a minute or two before the loud one. Respond to it once, and you'll see something shift in your dog. Something that looks, very specifically, like relief. Here's what I want you to understand about all of this. Your dog is not a mystery to be solved. They're not unpredictable. They're not just a dog responding to random impulses. They are a creature who has spent every day of their life paying close, careful, devoted attention to you, tracking your moods, learning your rhythms, adjusting to your patterns, trying constantly, quietly, patiently, to communicate with you across a language barrier that only exists on one side. They crossed most of the way. They always have. All of this, the tail direction, the eye contact, the quiet ask before the loud one. It's not a new language you have to learn from scratch. It's a conversation that's already been happening. You just haven't had the vocabulary to hear it. Now you do. And the moment you start responding to what you actually see instead of what you assumed your dog will notice, not the next week, not after some adjustment period, that day, in that conversation, because they've been waiting for you to answer. And when you finally do, you'll wonder how you went this long without being able to. If this changed how you see your dog, even a little, there's a lot more coming. Every week, I break down the behaviors that most owners misread, the signals that get ignored, the quiet language that lives underneath the obvious ones. Subscribe so you don't miss it. See you next time.